Alright, y'all. I'm back again with another video. I don't know what the fuck that was on me, but might have been some chicken grease. I was just eating some wing stock. Just eat some wing stock. but so as y'all all know, SVG Stan Van Gundy is new coach of the New Orleans Pelicans, and I'm gonna just say this: I was upset at first, like most of you. Then I thought about it and I was like, okay, it's not a terrible hire, right? Then I went and looked at an interview he had. I can't remember the guy. I think it was Zach Lowe. I shared it on my Twitter page. If you guys aren't familiar with me on Twitter, I go by Black J Strokes. But anywho, follow me on Twitter. But anyways, so I would have listened to that interview. And by the way, if you guys want to listen to it, the conversation, it's like an hour, 15 minutes long, but the conversation starts on the Pelicans from 28:05 and it goes to about the 1 minute mark. And they touch on Zion and Lonzo and Jrue, basically, mainly Zion and Lonzo. Which is funny because they're always the topic and it's never BI who's like the all-star, but we'll get into that another day. Anywho, so I listened to it, and I know most people are gonna go in because he was like he wanted to make Lonzo like a full court point guard, but have him just spot up or shoot threes. Basically, he didn't say spot up. But basically, you want him to just shoot threes when with the offense being ran through primarily or being set up by BI and Zion and everything. Now, a lot of people heard that and they started going in. But they missed the part where he said, because there was a part before that that happened in context where he was saying, and this, keep in mind, this happened July 20th. So this was before the bubble games and stuff started. So it was like well over 3 months ago. So actually, we don't know what his view could be now, especially after the bubble. But anyway, and he was saying the development for Lonzo is going to come from his ability to shoot off the dribble, something I said, his ability to finish at the rim, something I said. And he also mentioned his unique set of skill sets or his package of skills, something I said, is being one of the fun and best parts of Lonzo Ball. It's funny, the coaches say all the shit that I say. I mean, what kind of world is that I actually know how coaches think? But anyway, I just thought that was interesting. But here's the thing about, SVJ. So what this means to me is the Pelicans want to focus on defense before anything else. They want the defense to be elite, which there's a video I did and I mentioned how the defense is the most important part of the game for getting the most out of Lonzo and Zion. And to a lesser extent, BI, but we can get into that on another video. I'll probably do an entire video series on just BI himself, especially if you guys want it. But, so, they were talking about the defense, how they were basically last in transition or terrible in transition, and all the other stuff. And all of Steph Van Gundy's teams have been elite, or at least top 10 defensively. So you're about to see an uptick in defense under his leadership, which is great. Especially if they can get BI playing defense and get Zion playing defense at a high level, Pelicans are going to be amazing, right? So it tells me that. It also tells me that they're looking to build this team mainly around Zion, and they're going to use BI. It's like Zion and BI are the focal points of the team, and every piece around them has to support them too. And they want the core of the team to be defense. And they're not here. They didn't want a coach that was going to come in and be a first-time coach. They wanted a coach who was going to be experienced, battle-tested. Stan Van Gundy, if you do not know, has been to the finals. He's won playoff series. So they could have went him and Ty Lue, and then everybody else would have been like a first-time coach, and they didn't want to do that. Apparently, he wanted Ty Lue, but Ty Lue chose the Clippers, so he went with Stan next. So, that makes sense. So With that being said, let's talk a little bit about Stan Van Gundy, as far as the players is concerned. Uh, you can go listen to a couple different guys who've done podcasts and spoke about him recently. Uh, Gilbert Arenas has spoke about him. Uh, JJ Redick, and they said that JJ Redick on the jump was an important piece or important part of getting him to that team. So I don't think JJ Redick going anywhere. Just hint, hint. He probably gonna be around and stay for a while. Um, so he went to bat. He did a lot of recruiting in private, and I think they also said Stan Van Gundy wanted to come to the Pels. That like the Pels was his first choice. So kudos to um, Griff for at least getting a coach that wanted to be here and didn't have the Pels as an option, right? So kudos to him for that at least. Uh, so again, his teams are typically well coached. I know a lot of people are going to talk about him being in Detroit, and Detroit was in the playoffs even when they shouldn't have been with the Reggie Bullock, Andre Drummond team. They were in the playoffs. They wouldn't beating anybody, but I say that's more lack of talent than anything. But he got that team to the playoffs and they got beat by LeBron and teams like that. So, at least there's a track record of winning to the point that they get into the playoffs. I think this Pels team has way more talent than that Detroit team. And I think we have more talent than the Orlando team with Hito Turkoglu, JJ Redick, Dwight Howard. I'm trying to remember a couple of other guys that that I'm forgetting right now, but they basically they played four out. Dwight in the center, and they had everybody lined up on the perimeter. It was like one of the first semi or pseudo, I guess, setups to like the space in three game. You know, before we started getting all this pace and space and stuff like the Warriors and whatnot. It's kind of like one of the first iterations of that in modern basketball. But anyway, so JJ Redick said something that I thought was very intriguing. He said Stan Van Gundy is such like a basketball genius that he was like there were certain games that they just won simply because of him being on the team as the coach. And to me, that's fucking amazing. That's fucking phenomenal. Let's talk about that real quick, right? So that means he's prepared, he does his research, he's high IQ. So there were problems we had with the Pels this past season with Alvin Gentry and the team just not looking ready. Or the ATO, after timeout play, just just leaving much to be desired. I'm sure we've all seen that video of Lonzo and JJ looking at each other like what the fuck, and everybody in their favors and everybody's questioning the ATO at the end of the game. I think it was the Clippers game, whatnot, where JJ got the last shot in like the mid range or some shit. But anyway, so to me that's just like, okay, as far as the stuff that people complained about Gentry, out the window. Number one. Number two, Stan don't play favorites. Either you play good and you gonna play, or you gonna sit your ass on the bench. So he ain't taking no nonsense. Now, where some of you guys may disagree with him is he does favor veterans. He does favor veterans. So you might see some Etwan Moore maybe still be on the team. Let me just put it like that. I'm just going to be blunt. You might still see an Etwan Moore, but we'll see. They might shake it up a little bit, and we might not see Etwan. We might see some other better veterans on the team. But that tells me, they're going to, especially in that interview he did with Zach Lowe, there's going to be a nice little mix of vet presence on this team and young players. So I expect to see a lot of roster shake up going forward. With this squad. But anyway, so that's just to give you a little insight on who Steph is, or Stan Van Gundy is as a I don't know why I'm calling nigga Steph. Stan Van Gundy is, but like I said, I don't think it's a bad hire. I don't think it's the best hire. I think they should have went younger. I told you guys I wanted Kenny Atkinson or Stackhouse, someone who recently piked my interest, shot up my ranks is Earl Watson. If you haven't heard that interview he did with Gilbert Arenas, you guys need to listen to that. I guarantee you, if you listen to him talk about basketball, you'd be like, he should have been the coach. And if you are a fan of Lonzo, like me and a lot of other people, there was an interview he did on Undisputed with Shannon and Skip Bayless, and they was talking about Lonzo. This is back when he was still with the Pels. This is a couple years ago. But he tells you a lot of stuff about Lonzo that and some of these other guys that came into question now that he already knew about, and you get some pretty good insight. So just if you get a chance to, if you're just curious, go take a look at that. Earl Watson, he need a job coaching for real. He's a coach. I wish we could have got him, but okay. So that's pretty much the whole thing with Van Gundy. Now I told you guys that the hire was going to dictate a lot. Now I still need to see what his bench is going to look like. If they're going to keep Fred Vincent or some of the other guys or let him go. But I'll say this. After hearing his interview with Zach Lowe, I feel like he would keep Lonzo, but this is before the bubble, and I'm pretty sure Van Gundy, he's a smart man, and he probably won't hold that whole 5 game stretch because technically BI and Zion weren't all that good in the bubble either, but nobody talks about that. But anyway, so I think this is just me. Because Van Gundy said in Zach Lowe's interview, he was like, the Pels aren't necessarily ready to contend yet. And he was like, and he said something I always say, if you're going to say these guys are going to be the 8th, 7th seed, who are they taking wins from? Now, you could say, okay, OKC may look to rebuild, so they'll drop out. You could say Memphis may fall out, they could drop out. But you got to think about it. Portland and the Golden State Warriors are right there. Sacramento is right there too. And they had some injuries and stuff. So, and Minnesota. So, you got to basically jump. You got to jump 6 other teams. Granted, Steph and the rest weren't healthy, obviously, and their team is going to look different. But I'm just saying, it's going to be a slugfest. So, what this tells me is they're looking to develop. They're looking to build a culture, and they're looking to develop. So what does that have to do with Lonzo? I think Lonzo is safe. However, I think I will feel more comfortable after I see the bench as far as the coaching hires on the bench, and the draft. If they get a point guard, they shipping that nigga out. But we'll see. I think the way he talked about Lonzo, he talked as if like Lonzo was like basically like he's got some untapped potential there because he's still young. And he was like, what Lonzo does well, he does at a high level. So he sounded like he had a ton of respect for Lonzo. Maybe he had, like it sounded basically like he wanted his chance to kind of work with Zoe. At least that's the way it came off to me. Now, like I said, this is before the bubble. We don't know how the fuck you view it now, but whatever. And they also said if they were gonna, whoever they hired had to be on board with what they're doing. So I'm assuming whether it's Trey Jrue or Trey Zoe, the front office signed off on it. They know what they're going to do. So there's that. I'm trying to think here. What other points did I want to hit on? There was a couple things that I actually want to touch on. I think I'm probably going to end up maybe having to do another video about it. But I just put it like this. I don't think the hire is terrible considering everything that's going on. I think the Pels realistically realize, like, okay, they're not going, like, if they're going to get a playoff spot, it's going to be a late one. They're going to have to play the Clips or the Lakers or maybe Golden State if they're top. So they understand it's going to be a slug fucking fest to get there. I think the main thing is they want to establish or build the core up foundationally and if not this year, the next year should be the year. Like, okay, it's time. Because BI will be 24, Lonzo will be 24, Zion will be 21, Jackson Hayes will be 21. It's like, okay, it's go time. Because now you got one more year of Ricky Zion after that, and then you got to look to re-sign him. And you got to already have done whatever business you're going to do with Lonzo if he's still on the team by then, because his contract is up, and you have to match or let him go this season. They're probably going to max BI, obviously. So, that goes without saying. Anywho, but I think the timeline they're on is more like, let's fight to try to get it to the playoffs. If not, fine. Let's just get these guys set up so that we can make a run the following year. So within 2 years is probably what they're looking at. Now, how does that apply to Jrue Holiday? Jrue Holiday, if I'm not mistaken, he has this year, then he has the option. And the look, he's probably going to look to get rid of the option and go sign a longer term deal. So for them, I could totally see them saying, okay, we like Jrue, but let's go ahead and maybe hold. They might do what they did last year, but they'll hold him and actually trade him at the trade deadline. It would surprise me if they did that. Now, if they get a good offer for him, they may trade him this offseason. But to me, I'm looking at, just from this tells me that I think they're going to try to make a push with Jrue. Now, we'll see what happens. Like I said, if they get a good deal on the table, they're probably like, Jrue, same with JJ. Even though I know JJ is a stand guy to be fucked up at, like, hey, JJ helped us recruit, now nigga, bye. But, it is what it is. So that's just what I see so far. Who knows? I may be wrong on that. I don't even know what kind of offense he's necessarily going to run. Like I said, I seen what he ran in Orlando, basically 4 out, plays here and there, horn, some other couple things there. I need to go look at Detroit to see what he did with that. But Stan seems to be from the philosophy that I am from, which is you don't have a particular coaching method. You run what works for what you have. And if that's the case, what he's done goes out the window, because he's going to maximize BI and Zion foremost than anything else. And so it'll be interesting to see how he plays that. Now, with Lonzo and what he said, Lonzo working out this summer, getting a lot of that stuff that I mentioned he should be working on, and Stan has mentioned. If Lonzo shows up and he's hitting mid-ranges and floaters and finishing at the rim, Lonzo's probably going to have the ball in his hands, and he might adjust the roles and the players on the team based on that. So we're going to have to see what happens. This is good because we at least have this part out of the way. The weight or the burden is lifted off the shoulders of the Pelicans with that. So now it's like, okay, who do they draft? Then it's like, who do we need in free agency? I pray to God he just wipes that bench clean of everyone, to include Etwan Moore and Melly, and personally, I'd also like to get rid of JJ Redick if possible. I want to keep Hart, obviously. Hayes, I'd like to keep him maybe. No, I could deal without now, but if they keep him, I'm not mad. But, I'd want to get rid of everybody else. I don't think Favors is coming back. I have it on good record that he's not coming back. I just know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody. So I know Favors is not coming back unless something has changed. I have to go check with my source. But anyway, so they're going to need some centers. But I think, we'll see. We'll see. But anyways, this video is almost 20 minutes long, and it's gone on a little too long in my eyes. But it was a whole lot to just get out there. And I want to address a whole lot of points and stuff, and make sure I try to be very thorough with this. And like I said, I may have to make another video, but this is just day one. So we all just found out we all in the same boat. So hopefully this shit go the way we want it to go, and they're competitive, and Lonzo's still on the team, and Zion and BI taking a jump, and he's taking a jump, and now we got the core, the dynamic trio, and we can move forward. So this is your boy, Jay Strokes. Follow me on Twitter, Black J Strokes, if you want. I'm not requesting that you do it, but hey, if you want to hear me out on Twitter, talk shit and all this other stuff, engage me, I'm on Twitter. So Black J Strokes on Twitter, and I'll catch y'all later. Peace.